Just woke up. It's early morning, 6:10 here.
Wow.
And the weather is, yeah, now that we are in the same hemisphere, Noelia, it's cold here as well.
Really?
Yes, Rodrigo, I think it's summer in Peru right now.
Yes, teacher.
Hey, Brenda, how are you doing? Brenda, how are you doing? Do you still speak Spanish, no, Brenda, or speak some English? Uh,
English.
let
English.
you speak English now. Oh, that's
Yes.
lovely. That's lovely. Okay. Uh,
But she speaks French better than English, or yeah.
obviously it's early, but I think in a year or two she'll start to speak English like a native. She's so young. So do you have
Yeah.
English speaking friends, Brenda? Do you go to school?
Yes.
Oh, you do.
Like her school is French, so she doesn't speak English at school, only French. So she only learned like English like outside, like in Canada, like around the city,
Not at the
and not
school.
yeah,
Yes.
no,
But you
not yet.
told you told me no idea that you guys are in the English speaking part of Canada. So do
Yes, but
they have French medium schools in English speaking part of Canada?
yes, there's some French schools here, and then most of them are English.
Okay,
Right.
very interesting. So was it conscious decision that your dad wanted her to go to a French speaking school?
Yes, my parents decide because probably we're gonna move or probably not. We don't know. But it's good to have like three languages in
Abs-
our
Absolutely. If she lives in Canada, she has to learn English. No doubt she will learn. And then she'll learn French because of being at school, and Spanish is her
yes,
mother tongue. That would be amazing. Yes.
yes,
She will be a multilingual in its true meaning, true
yes.
sense. Hey, Rodrigo, where is your brother? Is he coming, Gonzalo?
Yeah, teacher. In a few minutes.
Sure.
Sure.
Hey, Brenda needs some attention. She's now with Alejandra. She's not going away.
Yes.
Yeah. So we are going to the other day we talked about parts kinds of adjectives, and you guys gave really good answers. So what is the difference between adjectives of numbers and adjectives of quantity? What's the difference?
After quantity adjective, you should put uncountable noun, and then after a numeral adjective, you should write a countable noun, but like with s.
Very good. In the plural form.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Mm. So we are now ready to have a little conversation about 1.6, Tom's favorite things. I'm going to take you guys to the audio script. 1.6 must be page number 130. 1.30. My favorite thing. Hey, Gonzalo, everything is all right? How was your weekend, man? Did you enjoy your Saturday and Sunday?
Yes, teacher, and friends for us.
Yeah. So school is closed 2 days a week or only one day a week? In some countries, schools are 5 days a week, Monday to Friday, and Saturday and Sunday are off. But in some countries, they teach 6 days a week, Monday to Saturday, and then Sunday is a day off. So In your case, your school is on 5 days a week or 6 days a week?
Yeah, five days a week.
5 days,
Monday to Friday. Yeah.
Monday to Friday. What about you, Alejandro and Noelia? Your school is 5 days a week or 6 days?
It's the same five.
Five. Here in India, most schools are on 6 days a week. Yeah, on the sixth day, Saturday, they have half time, They don't teach as many hours. They leave you early. But normally they leave you about 2:30 in the afternoon, but on Saturday they'll let you go at about 12 or 11:30. That's it. In India, students spend a lot of time studying at school, and outside school they have to go to uh, you know, health classes. We call them tuition classes, coaching classes. And most students, especially in my part of India, in Bihar, where I come from, they think that it is a norm, they don't even question it, why they have to spend so much time at school, studying. I mean, and they're not like very good at studies, despite spending so much of time because of the way they study and everything. Because I'm aware, I spend time talking to people from everywhere. I know it's not really good, and but these guys are just okay. Students don't complain. But I'm pretty sure it's not the best thing to do, keep them busy so much with books all the time, you know. So yeah, I'm not very happy with the schools we have here and the way they function, the way they teach. Not really very happy about it. Okay, 1.6.
1.6 My favorite things.
So, Tom, what's on your list? Griff? That's a strange name. Who's Griff? Why is he important to you?
Okay, the text is also in front of you so that we can understand even better. Okay, every single word.
Well, he's my best mate.
Oh,
He was the very first person I met at secondary school.
Okay, the word very here, okay, is just to emphasize he was the very first person I met at secondary school. It's here just to put more emphasis on the word first. He was the very first person I met at secondary school.
When I was 11, I knew nobody and he knew nobody, so we just fell on each other, became best friends, and, well, we still are.
ah. And Griff's his real name?
No, his name's actually David Griffiths, but there were so many Davids in our class. He was always called Griff. He still is.
This is an important line. Now, he still is. When you make it a complete sentence, okay, then the word order changes a little bit. Alejandro, Noelia, Rodrigo, Gonzalo. These three words, look at the order. He still is. But if you make it a complete sentence, then the word order changes. He is still called Griff. Okay. In short sentences, the order changes slightly. I would like to give you a few more examples. Um, um, how often do you, okay, just simple question. Do you go to the cinema? A asks. He replies, I do. Okay. Uh, and another, I often do. Okay, this will not be the right example here. Okay. So, because often word will not really help you here. I always do. I always do. Okay, so that will not be the example here. Okay, let's just stay with the same example then in that case. The example is uh, he still is. This is the word order. But when you write the whole sentence, you write he is still called Griff. So what happens sometimes when you shorten the sentences, then you keep the helping verb, after the adverb here, like he still is. And in the full sentence, this adverb goes after be verb. He is still called Griff. If somebody writes, if somebody writes, he still is called Griff. Okay. Now, look at sentence A and sentence B. There are two sentences here. I want you to tell me which is correct. The upper one, he is still called Griff, or the lower one, he still is called Griff. Which is grammatically correct? The word order. Yes.
The first one?
The first one. He is still called Griff. Okay. But when you shorten it, then you go with he still is. Okay. There are more adverbs. This is the story with beaver. Okay. This is the story with beaver. When you have other verbs, for example, do and will, then it doesn't really matter so much. I still do. Okay. I loved. Okay. I loved what? I love teddies. Okay. I still do. Okay. Which means the same. I still love them. I still love them. Okay. So here the word order didn't change much. But with be verb, is and are, in the short sentences, the adverbs go before be verb. He still is. I know everyone called him Griff. He was called Griff. He was called Griff. He still is. Okay. Okay. He was always called Griff. He still is. Okay. Let me highlight this here. Color. Okay. First of all, let me remove these things. And then use the color here. Okay. Here. He was always. Take a look. Be verb first, always the frequency adverb after be verb. But here, look at the order. He still is. He was always called Griff. He still is. Okay. Everyone calls him that. Everyone calls him that. That what? That means what? That means what, guys?
Griff.
Griff. Everyone calls him that. Everyone calls him Griff. Yeah. A pronoun.
Everyone calls him that.
I see. So now, your favourite city or town, where's that?
That's easy. Definitely New York.
Ah.
My grandparents took me and my brother Jack there for 4 days when I was 14 and Jack was 16. It was the best holiday ever for me. We stayed in a hotel overlooking Central Park.
We stayed in a hotel overlooking Central Park. I'm going to draw that for you very quickly. Line thickness. Okay, yeah. So, overlooking Central Park. Now, this is Central Park. Okay, and there is a hotel. Just a sec. And the hotel, what am I doing here? I'm unable to draw. Okay, the hotel is next to Central Park, so that when you are in the hotel, you can easily see, this Central Park. That's why stayed in a hotel overlooking Central Park. This overlooking word here tells you the position of Central Park and the position of the hotel, okay? How they are close to each other. And Central Park is there, of course, and the hotel is high up, and you can overlook Central Park. Okay.
Ah,
We went ice skating and we flew over the city.
Okay, I hope you are familiar with the phrases like go and ing verb. Go hunting, go swimming, go shopping, go ice skating, go walking, go fishing. These are free time activities. People do these things, okay? So in English, we have them. Go doing something, go hunting, go fishing, go cycling, go walking, go skating, go swimming, go skiing, all these things. We went ice skating and we flew
In a
over.
helicopter. We
We flew over the city. We flew over the city. A good preposition here. We flew over the city in a helicopter. Okay.
saw everything. It
We saw everything. Okay.
was amazing. I'd love to work in New York.
Now, notice this sentence. I'd love to work in New York. You say this sentence when you don't work in New York, or when you are working in New York? When you are working in New York, or when you're not working in New York? I'd love to work in New York. When do you say this line?
You don't work in New York.
When you're not working in New York. And imagine when you're working in New York and you want to say this, then your sentence is, I love working in New York. Got it? You work in New York and you like it. You'll say, I love working in New York. But you don't work there, but you want to. I'd love to work in New York. Okay.
yeah, I think New York's a favourite for many people. What about a memorable meal? Where was that?
Okay. A memorable meal. Can you see an adjective here? Can you see an adjective here?
Memorable.
Memorable, right? Something that you can't forget very easily. A memorable evening, a memorable meal, a memorable moment. Okay. Something that you cannot easily forget. Memorable.
Actually, that was in New York. We went to Michael Jordan's restaurant in Grand Central Station. Have you heard of it?
Now notice this. This is called an ambiguous sentence. Okay. Have you heard of it? He says, we went to Michael Jordan's restaurant in Grand Central Station. He mentioned two nouns here, Michael Jordan's restaurant and Grand Central Station. And then he says, have you heard of it? Now, this pronoun it here, this could be about either, it could be Michael Jordan's restaurant, it could be Grand Central Station. Okay. So here, this girl, she gets a little confused. She says, what?
Grand Central? Of course.
Grand Central, of course. Then he clarifies, no, I'm not talking about Grand Central. Not the station. Not the station, the restaurant, Michael Jordan's. Have you heard of Michael Jordan?
No, not the station. The restaurant, Michael Jordan's. I think it's quite famous.
I think it's quite famous. Okay. Okay. What is the comparative of famous? More famous? And the superlative? The most famous? Okay. Adjectives have three forms: positive degree, comparative degree, superlative degree. Tall, taller, the tallest. And some adjectives, which are two-syllable adjectives or three-syllable adjectives, we use more and the most. More beautiful, the most beautiful. Now, why am I talking about it right now? Because I want to explain the word quite to you. Here, quite means completely or fairly, somewhat. To some degree or to the extreme degree? Quite means what?
Somewhat degree.
Somewhat. To some degree. Exactly. Guys, quite can mean both. Sometimes it means a little bit, somewhat, and sometimes it can mean completely. For example, when I say quite impossible, okay, quite impossible, then what does it mean? A little bit impossible, somewhat impossible, or completely impossible? Quite impossible. Quite impossible.
Also,
Okay. What's the difference between quite impossible and quite famous? Okay, give me a second.
bless you.
Thank you. So I'm gonna sneeze again. Early morning, I get this sneezing streak sometimes in the morning. I go sneezing maybe 10 times, 12 times.
Yeah. I sometimes have allergies and it's terrible.
Yeah, you remember me, right? Doing this in your early classes too.
Yeah, like 20 times.
Yeah. It's embarrassing. I mean, yes, we are close, so it's all right. But imagine if I'm on the stage or something and it starts suddenly. Oh my goodness. Or live somewhere, Oh God.
Mhm.
Give me a second. Still sneezing. It's been 6 times so far. And I think it's going to continue for a few more times. Okay. All of a sudden, I don't know what happens. What is wrong with me? Why? Okay. So I hope it was the last time. Yeah, I'm feeling like that. Yeah. Okay, people. So quite impossible and quite famous. Okay. So when you use impossible, okay, something that is impossible is simply impossible, not more impossible, not the most impossible. People could say that, colloquially, but impossible is an idea that is absolute in itself, right, everyone? If something is impossible, it will not happen. So if it will not happen, there is no question of more impossible and the most impossible. It's just the same thing, okay? So it is a non-gradable adjective. Impossible is a non-gradable adjective. It doesn't have a comparative form or the superlative form. For example, let's say another non-gradable adjective I would like to write here. I write quite empty. Empty. Okay. Now, empty is something empty. A bottle is empty. It means it has nothing. Then we can call it empty. So this is again an absolute idea. Okay. It cannot be compared. An empty bottle is an empty bottle. An empty bottle cannot be more empty. Okay. Because it's empty. So do you understand the idea of non-gradable adjectives? Another could be dead. Dead. Yeah. Another could be alive. These adjectives express ideas which are absolute in themselves. You cannot have more or less dead. You cannot have more or less alive. It is alive, then it is alive. If it is dead, it is dead. If it is impossible, it is impossible. Perfect. Okay. If it is perfect, it's there. Okay. Perfect. It cannot be more perfect or less perfect. It can be just perfect or not perfect. Something can be perfect, something can be not perfect. That's it. But it's not that you are more perfect, something is more perfect.
Teacher, I have a question.
Yes.
What about if we say like really famous? In this case, it's like she is really famous. Like she's real like superlative,
Yeah,
famous.
I wanna tell you, you know,
Yeah. And then what about like if I say like really impossible?
yes, coming
Can
to that.
I
You
can I
see,
say that?
yeah, definitely. A good question, actually. So, as you can see, that some adjectives are non-gradable. There is no question of more or less of them. The kind of idea they possess, they express, there cannot be more or less of them. So they are non-gradable. For example, impossible, empty, dead, alive, perfect. So these are non-gradable. With these adjectives, if you want to emphasize them in more, then you have two, three options. Of course, you can't use very. You can use the word really, really impossible, really, empty, okay, kind of sometimes. Okay. So really word can be used, really can be used to qualify non-gradable adjectives. But we cannot use very. Okay. We cannot use very impossible, very empty, very dead. We don't use
Oh,
the adverb very, but we can use really.
yeah,
With other
okay.
with other adjectives, gradable adjectives like famous, tall, rich, okay, good, okay. These are gradable adjectives. Something can be more or less famous, somebody can be more or less tall, somebody can be more or less rich, somebody can be more or less good, because these are gradable adjectives. With them, we can use all those things. We can use quite, we can use very, we can use really, we can use them all. No problems. Okay. All the adverbs are possible with these adjectives.
So teacher, with non-gradable adjectives, we can quite and really it's the same grade. Is it?
Exactly. Actually, quite could mean completely. So there
Mhm.
you can also use absolutely impossible, absolutely empty, absolutely dead. Okay.
Mhm.
So absolutely, completely, quite, they all have the same meaning. Okay. But
Yes.
when you are using quite with gradable adjectives, okay, it just means somewhat, not completely, somewhat famous, somewhat tall. She's quite tall. He's quite rich. I'm not saying he's extremely rich, but he's somewhat rich. Okay. He's quite rich. So I hope you understand the difference between quite with a non-gradable adjective and quite with a gradable adjective. Okay. The meaning changes so much. Gonzalo and Rodrigo, do you appreciate what I'm trying to explain here? Do you understand that?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, Rishi.
Great. I would love to have you on camera if it is possible, because I love looking at my students, expressions when I'm explaining things, their facial expressions. They make me feel a little bit more comfortable, when I can see how they're responding, to my comments. Okay. So I think it's quite famous. Oh, I think it's quite famous. Somewhat famous. Okay.
I don't know it. What kind of restaurant is it?
It's a steakhouse. The
Okay.
steak is just the best. And you sit high up. It's so exciting. You can eat and watch all these New Yorkers rushing to catch their train.
A lovely sentence. You sit high up. Okay. You sit high up on the first floor, on the second floor, like that. It's so exciting. You can eat and watch all these New Yorkers rushing to catch their trains. No, rushing to catch their trains. So when you rush, you move fast, okay? You do not take it easy. You are in a little bit of urgency, rushing to catch their trains.
Trains.
Sounds great. So, finally, do you have a treasured possession?
Okay, sounds great. This is a very good expression, okay? Whenever you hear something that makes you happy, you like it. Oh, sounds great, sounds good, sounds great. So finally, do you have a treasured possession? This is the last question. That's why the word finally. Do you have a treasured possession, an adjective, something that you don't want to lose? A treasured possession, something that you don't want to lose, okay? Treasured.
I'm not sure I do have a treasured possession. Well, there's my iPhone, of
Okay, this is called an emphatic sentence, students. This is called an emphatic sentence. Take a look here. I'm not sure I do have a treasured possession. You normally don't say this. You normally say I have, I don't have. But here the sentence is I do have a treasured possession. I'm not sure I do have a treasured possession. Okay. An emphatic sentence is used when a regular sentence is not good enough. For example, for example, this sentence will be relatable, I think. Sometimes what happens, dads come home in the evening and kind of complain to their children that don't study hard enough. And they don't study, they just fool around, waste their time watching TV, using their mobile phones. They're not happy, okay? Sometimes dads complain. And the children, they defend themselves. So listen to this conversation between a dad and a child, okay? So dad comes home and says, I'm so not happy with you. Oh, all the time watching TV. You don't study at all. I never see you studying. The child says, come on, dad, I do study. You're not at home all the time to watch me study. Ask mom. Okay, so what did he say? The first line? Come on, dad, I do study. Okay, I study is a normal sentence, okay? But he said, I do study. Now, because he wants to defend himself strongly, he wants to disagree with his dad that he doesn't study. So he wants to say that he studies and he wants to say it with more emphasis. And that's why he says, I do study, okay? Now, I'll give you another. Uh, a wife complains to her husband that he doesn't love her anymore, and the husband defends that he does. And listen to this conversation. Yeah, you didn't notice my new haircut, okay? I think you've changed. You don't love me anymore the way you did earlier. Come on, darling, I do love you the same. I do love you the same. It's just that I'm a little preoccupied. I couldn't notice your hairstyle. I'm really sorry. But you look amazing. You do look amazing in this haircut. Okay. So sometimes you just add the do or does or did, by the way. Okay. In these present simple and past simple sentences, positive sentences, you insert do, does, did. Okay. And, you know, the sentences become emphatic. So, first of all, I would like you guys to change some sentences into emphatic sentences. I'm writing them, okay? I love you. Okay. Now, what is the emphatic form of this sentence?
I do love you.
I do love you. Okay, everybody? Let's have another. He loves me. Now, what is the emphatic sentence? Emphatic form. He
Uh,
does
No.
Love me. He does love me. He does love me, but okay.
Teacher, I have a question. Is that a good grammar? Like,
Yes.
can I write in an essay, for example?
Okay, yes. Sometimes you might need this in to put more emphasis on the verb. And yes, you can use it. It is good grammar. It is formal grammar, okay? It's not
Okay.
something you can consider informal.
Okay.
Okay, let's see. And we have another. He invited me. He invited me. Now, what is the more emphatic form?
He do invited me.
He did invite me, but decided not to go. He did invite me. He did invite me, but I decided not to go.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, like this. He did invite me. So this is more emphatic than he invited me. Uh, do you have anything similar to this in your mother tongue? I don't think so. No, we don't have. We have another version. I mean, there are emphatic sentences in every language, of course, because sometimes we need to put more emphasis, okay? But how we make them emphatic, that changes. Okay, here is a sentence. Okay, I am writing. I know you're not familiar with Hindi, okay? But I just want to tell you, uh, उसने invite किया. उसने मुझे invite किया. उसने मुझे 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 invite किया. उसने मुझे invite किया. Okay, this is my language. उसने मुझे invite किया. Normal, okay? And then I want to make it more emphatic, here in Hindi. उसने मुझे invite तो किया. Okay. And there are multiple ways I can make my Hindi sentences, more emphatic. There are different ways. And in English, especially when you are making past simple, present simple sentences, you just put the, do, does, did before the verb, and it becomes emphatic. Okay. So here is a sentence, guys. And I would like to know it in Spanish too. I go to school. I go to school. Okay, Rodrigo, what is the emphatic form of this sentence? More emphatic, than I go to school. Rodrigo, Gonzalo, tell me, what is the more emphatic form? I go to school. Emphatic, putting more emphasis on the verb, okay? Putting more emphasis on the verb. I go to school. I do go to school. Okay, this is what you do, Rodrigo.
Okay.
You insert the helping verb do, does, did according to the subject, according to the tense. I do go to school. Okay. I learned English at school. Gonzalo, what is the more emphatic form?
I do learn English at school.
Notice my sentence. Notice my sentence. I learned English at school. Can you see it is the past tense? So we are going
Yeah.
to change. We are going to insert did.
Okay. Okay.
And then we are gonna go back to the V1 form. I did learn English. I did learn English at school. But it was not enough to, help me speak. I did learn English at school, but it did not make me fluent. Okay. It did not give me the speaking skills. I did learn English at school, but it did not give me, speaking skills like that. So more emphatic than I learned English at school. I did learn English at school, Okay. So you will find these emphatic sentences very often here in English. I'm not sure I do have a treasured possession.
Course. I certainly
Well, that is my iPhone, of course. Most people love their iPhone, and they're very particular, very, very particular about, their iPhone. Yeah, they don't want to lose it. It's an expensive thing to possess. Well, that is my iPhone, of course.
couldn't live without that.
I certainly couldn't live without that. Okay. So something that is a treasured possession. But again, a treasured possession has an emotional value in some way, right? Most people will consider something that is emotionally important to them as a treasured possession. I mean, you may have something really expensive. Somebody may have a very expensive car, but it may not be a treasured possession. For most people, it is maybe a gift they received from somebody important, or it could be a photograph that they find really, really, close to their heart, or something from their childhood. So most people will call these things a treasured possession rather than the most expensive thing they possess. Okay. Unless they are too materialistic. If somebody is too materialistic, maybe, okay. But most people will not count their most expensive thing as their treasured possession. Okay. Do you guys have a treasured possession? Because I asked you to do the questions. I'm just explaining the lines and then we will have a conversation. I'm going to ask you guys to talk about your answers to these questions.
But other than that,
That's a nice expression. But other than that, okay. Other than that, it's a very interesting expression. Huh? Other than that. Hmm. But other than that, I suppose it's the ship. Oh, yeah. I suppose.
I suppose it's the ship in a bottle that
Oh, I suppose suddenly he remembered. Okay. And this, I suppose. Do you want a little bit explanation? I suppose here. Okay, when you're saying something with not a very certain tone, assertive tone, I should say, okay, and then you use phrases like I suppose, I reckon, I think, I believe. These phrases are used just to soften what you're saying, to make them less assertive, okay? And sometimes it's necessary. There are certain things about which you don't feel very certain. So that's why I suppose it's a ship in a bottle that my great grandpa gave me just before he died.
my great grandpa gave me just before he died.
Hmm.
He said it was very special to him, but
Special to him, important to him, okay? So you can understand the phrase to him, okay? To me, special to me, important to me, valuable to me, things like this.
I'm not sure why. He was too old to explain it clearly.
Such a lovely sentence, everybody. He was too old to explain it clearly, okay? This use of too is very interesting here in English. Too old to explain. Too old to explain. He was too old to explain. Can you say this sentence without using the word TOO2? I want you to say this sentence without TOO2. What changes will you make to the sentence? That the sentence catches the same idea, okay? And you can remove this TOO2. Can you please go ahead and try and explain this sentence? Say this sentence, rephrase it without using TOO2. Anybody? Yes, Noelia?
It was um antique.
Okay, okay, okay.
Thing.
Actually, we don't use the word antique to refer to people.
Oh,
Antique
so
refers,
elderly.
there is a
Elder.
way. Yeah, want to try again?
He was elderly to explain.
Absolutely fine. But look at the whole sentence. He was too old to explain it clearly. What are we saying here? That did he explain or did he not explain?
He didn't.
He didn't explain. You're right. Everybody, I hope you understand. When you read this sentence, he was too old to explain it. We are saying he did not explain it. Okay? And why didn't he explain it? What was the reason? His age. Okay? So if I am going to remove TOO2, Rodrigo and Gonzalo, could you tell me how you can remove TOO2 from here? And what will you say instead of TOO2? How can you rephrase this sentence to catch the same meaning? That he did not explain it because of his age. So very common, way. He was so old, guys. We can remove TOO2 and we can insert SO. He was so old that he could not explain it clearly. Okay. He was too old to explain it clearly means he was so old that he could not explain it clearly. Right? This sentence catches the same meaning. He was too old to explain it. He was so old that he could not explain it clearly. I'll give you a couple of more examples. So I have a sentence. The tea is too hot to drink. The tea is too hot to drink. The tea is too
So
hot. And then I'm following it with to drink. Too hot to drink. Now, I want you to remove too.
So
Yes, the tea is so hot that we can drink it. Right? The tea is so hot that we can drink it. The tea is so hot that we can drink it. The tea is too hot to drink. Okay, I'll give you a sentence with the so, and I want you to use TOO2 there. This is so heavy. This is so heavy that I can't lift it. Or you can use we instead of I. Sounds even better. This is so heavy that we can't lift it. This bag or this suitcase, whatever. Okay. Now take a look at this sentence. This bag is so heavy that we can't lift it. I want you to say the same thing, but make it smaller by using TOO2. Okay. You can make this sentence shorter. You can remove some of the words. Use TOO2 here. Go ahead. Who wants to try it? Alejandro?
This bag, is too heavy to lift it.
Very nice. This bag is too heavy to lift. No need to use it, okay? This bag is too heavy to lift. This bag is too heavy to lift. Rodrigo, Gonzalo, there are some questions, okay, which are so personal that we shouldn't ask when we meet somebody for the first time, Some questions are so personal that we shouldn't ask those questions when we are meeting somebody for the first time. Right? Now, I said this in such a long way. I can make it more concise by removing some of the words and using TOO2. Okay. So the situation is, what I'm trying to say is there are a few questions, some questions, which are so personal that we shouldn't ask them, when we are meeting someone for the first time. So these questions are
Too personal.
too personal to ask. Too personal. Absolutely. Absolutely correct. Too personal. Okay. Very good. TOO. Too personal. Very good. So, yeah, she is too short to join the army. Okay, she's too short to join the army. Gonzalo. She's too short to join the army.
Mm, he's so short to join the army.
When we say she's so short, we don't say to join the army. That doesn't follow a natural flow in English, okay? If you remove the word TOO to Gonzalo, we say she's so short that you follow it up with that, okay? Go ahead, Gonzalo. She's so short that she can't join the army. She's so short that she can't join the army. She can't join the army, okay? All right, people. Now I have another last one, okay? We are too young to vote. We are too young to vote. Okay, if you don't want to use the word TOO, how do you say this? You remove it with SO and you follow it up with that. Go ahead. Everybody.
We are so young that we cannot vote.
Perfect. We are so young that we cannot vote, people. We are too young to vote. Okay, in English, this arrangement can be a bit confusing sometimes, okay? Neil Armstrong and Aldrin landed on the moon, and according to their schedule, it was time for them to sleep, okay? They were supposed to go to sleep. They were on the moon, right? For the first time. They were too excited to sleep. Now, this sentence can be very confusing. They were too excited to sleep. Now, sometimes people think that they really wanted to sleep. No, 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 no. They were too excited to sleep. It means they were so excited. Go on, go on. Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin, were on the moon. Okay. It was the 20th of July, 1969, I think. They landed at about 8 or maybe after 8 o'clock at night. They were supposed to go to sleep. Okay. It was according to their schedule, time to sleep, but they were too excited to sleep. It means they were so excited that they didn't want to sleep, couldn't sleep, stuff like that. Okay. They were so excited that they couldn't sleep. They were too excited to sleep. When you are too excited, you can't, when you're very, very excited, you can't sleep. It's difficult for your body to go to sleep. It normally happens with small children right before their birthdays, the night before their birthdays. So they find it difficult to sleep. They're too excited. Okay. Oh, let's continue. He was too old to explain it clearly. Great grandpa was too old to explain it clearly why it was important to him, why he was giving that, ship in the bottle to his great grandson.
Oh, that's a shame.
Oh, that's a shame. Okay, this is a good expression in English. We use this expression to show sympathy. We use it to show sympathy. That's it. Oh, that's a shame. So, we do not take the word shame here literally, okay? Literally, shame has a different meaning. Okay, there is no shame in it, okay? That's a shame. It's not a literal expression. It just shows sympathy. That, oh, your grandfather, great grandfather couldn't explain it to you. Oh, that's a shame. Means it is sad that he could not explain. I understand. So that's a shame. Some people, instead of shame, use pity. Oh, that's a pity. Okay. So shame or pity, that's a shame, that's a pity. To just sympathize. Um, a friend failed an exam or test. Oh, that's a shame. She worked hard for it. She should have passed, like that. If somebody didn't study at all and they failed, you don't sympathize with them, no? But somebody worked hard and they still fail, then you feel, oh, that's a shame. Oh, that's a pity, like that. So use this expression in your conversation to show sympathy for something or for someone. Ah, that's a shame. Well, you invite somebody to a party and they say they can't come because they're busy. Okay. The conversation might go like this. Hey, I'm having a party this Saturday. Wanted you to come as well. Oh, I would love to, but I'm not very sure I can actually. I'm going away this Saturday. I'm not sure I will be back by the evening. Oh, that's a shame. Never mind, another time maybe. So that's a shame shows sympathy, okay? That you're feeling bad that he or she will not be able to join your party, come to your party. Oh, that's a shame. And yeah.
Now, do you want to hear about my favourite things?
Yeah, sure. Would love to. Okay. So I want to share this audio script with you guys so that you can practice in your free time. The whole conversation. You guys have partners. The best thing about your class here is you guys have partners to practice with. Okay. So I'm sharing it. How do I do this? Okay. No. This first and then copy. Yeah. Yeah. There you go. And now, uh, okay. I'm erasing everything else. I hope it will be all available in the recording that I will share on YouTube. Everything that I have written, all the side notes. Okay. I hope it will be on the screen in the recording as well. Let's go back to the unit page. And I think there was some homework I had assigned for you guys for today. Okay, here. Yeah, these questions. You had to ask each other these questions and you had to give me an adjective. So, first of all, give me an adjective. Are you usually smiling and happy? Which adjective? Cheerful, right? Next.
Yeah.
Do you enjoy the company of other people? Sociable. Do you find it difficult to meet new people? That which adjective? Do you find it
Shy?
difficult?
Shy.
Shy, shy. Yes. Do you find it difficult to meet new people? Shy. Okay. Do you have definite plans for your future career? Definite plans
Ambitious.
Ambitious.
for your ambitious. Ambitious people not only have definite plans, they have big plans. So
Yes.
yeah. How ambitious do you think you guys are? If you have to rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the most ambitious possible, okay, then where do you find yourself in your own opinion, of course?
9.
Mm,
Alejandro
7.
said, Alejandro said an 8,
9.
a 9, a 9. Alejandro is very ambitious. He thinks he's very ambitious. But Noelia, you don't consider yourself so ambitious. You're giving yourself
No,
a
because if you're like so ambitious, I think it's bad because you have like some.
I can understand the way you're thinking, Nelia.
Yeah.
Okay, Rodrigo and Gonzalo, what about you guys? How do you see yourselves? How ambitious do you think you guys are? How ambitious? One is not
Um,
ambitious at all,
eight,
and 10 is the most ambitious possible. Yeah.
eight, because I always try to be the best of me.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Great, Gonzalo. I like that attitude. That's what I think. I can relate to that. No matter what I do, I want compliments for what I do. Even if I'm cleaning the room, mopping the floor, I want to do it in the best way possible so that people could look at it and say, "Wow, you've done a good job." Yeah, that's my motivation. I always want to do whatever I do in the best way possible. Rodrigo, how ambitious are you? Do we have Rodrigo here? Yes.
Yes, teacher. Sorry.
Yes. Yes.
Can you repeat?
How ambitious are you on a scale of
Uh,
1 to 10?
I don't understand the question.
Okay.
What can you?
Ambitious. See, you know, do you have definite plans for your future career? Question number 4. So somebody who knows what they want to do, somebody who has big plans, they want to achieve big things in life.
Ah, okay.
Okay.
See, yeah.
They are
For
called
example,
ambitious. They are called ambitious. Okay.
yes, because maybe I would like to have a good job in the future.
Right. So, 10 is the most ambitious, 1 is the least ambitious. If you understand this rating thing, then where do you see yourself on a scale of 1 to 10 in terms of ambition? How ambitious do you think you are? A 10, the most ambitious possible, 1, not at all ambitious, somewhere in between, where? Alejandro said he's a 9. Noelia said she's a 7. And Gonzalo said an 8, I think, because he says that he wants to do his best all the time and he expects, things for himself. So, where do you see yourself on that scale? How ambitious are you?
Uh, 8. Yeah.
You are as ambitious as your brother. Okay,
Okay.
fine, lovely. It's good to have an ambition, because I remember my life story, if I ever share with you guys. I never had any ambitions, trust me. All I wanted was just to have a wife who loves me unconditionally. That's all. I was a very romantic person as a teenager. I only thought, okay, one day I'll have a girl, she will love me unconditionally, and my life will be complete. That's all. I never thought one day I would have a very expensive car, I would have a nice house, I will have a great job. I never thought about these things somehow. I was so dreamy, so romantic. I was absolutely hopeless, you see. But somehow things fell in place for me. And today I'm a teacher of English. Lucky me, because I did nothing special to be a teacher. You see, I just followed my heart all the time, every time, actually. Little too often, I would say. Sometimes you have to listen to your reasoning as well. But I was always like, okay, I feel like doing this. I have to do this. Somehow I created reasoning behind whatever I wanted to do. You know, I would convince people easily that it was the best thing for me, whatever I wanted to do. I have this ability to persuade people, to bring people around. But sometimes I used it against me, I think, when I look back. Hey, we are past our time. It's 7:14, and we are going to continue with this conversation about the adjectives and everything when we meet tomorrow. Okay, looking forward to the tomorrow's class. And as I said, I would love to have you guys on camera. So maybe do whatever you can, to make it possible. Because I like looking at people's faces when I'm talking to them to see the reaction, especially that I'm a teacher and my English speaking has to be received properly. It has to make that impact. So I want to see, people's reactions when I'm talking to them in my class. So hopefully tomorrow everybody will be on camera. Okay. Bye bye, everybody. Good night. Take care of yourselves.
Bye,
See
teacher.
ya. Bye bye.
So
Bye. Good night.
I take care.